Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, well, there is a lot of news coming out of Iran. Big time. Just a little bit ago, President Trump telling the media, quote, Iran is making an offer and we will see. So the big question is, what is the offer? Is it something that we care about? Is it something so out of the realm? Is it so ridiculous? We'll have to find out. Indeed, President Trump saying that, yes, we will at least listen to peace, but if not, we've got a lot of military assets ready to go. Total peace through strength. And just a little bit ago, this is cut number one. This is Pete Hegseth, and he called out American allies, but actually this is cut two, forgive me. This is Pete Hegseth telling the world essentially that Iran better come to the table, that they have a chance to do something that could change the course of history. And if they want to come to the table with peace, he's willing to accept it. But if they don't, well, guess what? We've got 3 carrier groups right there in theater, locked and loaded. Here is the Secretary of War.
Iran knows that they still have an open window to choose wisely. As we said previously, choose wisely at the negotiating table. All they have to do is abandon a nuclear weapon in meaningful and verifiable ways, or instead they can watch their regime's fragile economic state collapse under the unrelenting pressure of American power.
So choose wisely, Iran. So what do you think? Do you feel optimistic that maybe within a matter of hours, Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, and others could be potentially sitting face to face against Iranian officials? Here's Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, giving the signal that this is going to happen and that at least they're planning to head to Pakistan in a matter of hours. Well, is this make or break, or is this just delay by the Iranians? I think it's delay. But I also highly respect President Trump for giving the Iranians one more chance.
And yes, I can confirm Special Envoy Witkoff and Jared Kushner will be off to Pakistan again tomorrow morning to engage in talks, direct talks intermediated by the Pakistanis, who have been incredible friends and mediators throughout this entire process, with representatives from the Iranian delegation. Look, the Iranians reached out, as the president called on them to do, and asked for this in-person conversation. So the president is dispatching Steve and Jared to go hear what they have to say. And we're hopeful that it will be a productive conversation and hopefully move the ball forward towards a deal. I mean, look, President Trump has made his red lines throughout this entire process very clear. He was flexible in extending the ceasefire. And so Steve and Jared will be off to hear what they have to say.
So let's all pray that peace happens. It's a long shot. That's my personal feeling. But I also respect President Trump for doing it. And yet today, if you listen to many in the mainstream media, many who will be at the White House Correspondents Dinner tomorrow night, and we're going to talk about that, because that, I'm sure, will be a doozy with President Trump there and a very adversarial press. And yet there are people out there saying that they should protest the president for coming. You have got to be kidding me, saying that he restricts freedom of the press. He's the most accessible president I've ever seen, and I've covered a lot of them in my day. I mean, that's what a preposterous, ridiculous comment. He's a threat to democracy. What, because he's trying to get rid of a terrorist regime? You got Joe Biden, who didn't know left or right, barely ever was accessible to the media. It was like, oh, I got to leave whenever there was a question. And yet Trump is the guy who is supposed to be the guy who is infringing on First Amendment rights. Well, tomorrow night, he has his First Amendment right. And I'm sure it's going to be fun. He's a character. He's used to sparring with the media. He's had a lot of experience. So what kind of zingers do you think he needs to do at the White House Correspondents Dinner, which is an awesome event? I have been there many times. And it's really a week of events. I mean, there are people that start on Monday, I think even the week before, celebrating the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And there's also White House Correspondents' Dinner events. There are many of them. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Meantime, Zoran Mamdani, I cannot believe this, his first veto as mayor of the city of New York. Get this. And you're not mishearing it. He is vetoing New York schools having a buffer zone to protect themselves. So in other words, there will not be space, X amount of space between schools and protests. I guess he thinks it's okay at a preschool or a kindergarten school or a high school or any school for there to be protests. And the reason Mamdani doesn't want there to be any buffer is he loves the idea of these students, especially these pro-Hamas protesters that were all over Columbia University and all these other colleges, remember? All across America. He thought that was great. And he wants to also cancel the Strategic Response Group. That's the police group that was keeping the protesters at bay, making sure that things didn't get crazy. They're also the ones who responded to the mass shooter in New York. They do a valuable, valuable service. And yet Zoran Mamdani, I mean, if somebody said, hey, will you want a buffer zone so people don't infringe and cross the line at schools and disrupt schools? To me, it'd be like, of course I do. There was a part of it that also had synagogues and churches. That part he did carve out. He said, okay, I think that's appropriate because it's religious. But he has a problem for some reason. I guess he loves these pro-Hamas protesters. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. And also Zoran Mamdani today also going back and forth about Ken Griffin. Now, Ken Griffin is the very wealthy hedge fund guy. You've probably heard a lot about him. We talked about him last night here on the Rita Cosby Show because it came out that his chief operating officer came out and said, well, maybe we won't do our $6 billion project there in New York because Zoran Mamdani did that TV ad where he was mocking Ken Griffin and saying, hey, here's his second home. Wealthy people like Ken Griffin, how dare they basically? We're going to tax. Well, now Ken Griffin has come out and said the ad was shameful. I agree with Ken Griffin. Ken Griffin was creating this job, 350 Park Avenue, which would have created 6,000 highly paid construction jobs. Also, the creation of 15,000 permanent jobs in Midtown New York. That's just the tip of the iceberg. And now I'm really glad to see that as chief operating officer. I don't like to see New York hurt. But you can't allow just somebody to mock you and say, oh, how dare you not do your fair share? This is a guy who contributes so much money to New York and creates so many jobs. And so they came out, the chief operating officer for Ken Griffin's firm, Citadel, came out and said, the project, if we move forward, will entail more than $6 billion of spending. The word if is the key. If it goes forward, because maybe they're having hesitation. I don't blame them. Even if, say, Zoran Mamdani and he meet or something and have a kumbaya, why would he do that to begin with? That he's publicly shaming him because he's, a job creator and a really incredible, upstanding citizen who's done well, gives back a lot to New York. So he came out and Ken Griffin says Mamdani's ad was, quote, shameful. He found it disgraceful. Going in front of his home and saying, we're going to tax. Totally inappropriate. So now Zoran Mamdani was at the press conference today. And of course, he was asked about it. And he didn't really backtrack. I mean, he said, oh, yeah, we got to figure this out. We're going to tax people. And we're going to, that includes people like Ken Griffin. He didn't say, oh, I'm so sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have stood in front of, his home. Maybe I shouldn't have mocked him. Maybe I shouldn't have done any of those things. He was completely unrepentant and basically said, we're going to tax, and too bad, too bad, too bad. Well, here is Zoran Mamdani in the press conference today, and take a listen to what he said.
That home, when it was purchased, was the most expensive home in the United States of America. I am intent, however, on balancing this budget in a manner that asks the wealthiest and the most profitable corporations to pay that little bit more so that everyone can afford to live in the city. And that means Ken Griffin, and that means so many others across the city. And that also means those who would love to join us in this city.
Either my way or the highway. That's a good translation. My way or the highway. Too bad, Ken Griffin. I thought the job of the mayor was to entice people to come to New York, to the city, whatever city it is. Bring in business, hire people, create jobs, expand, make the city a better place, especially those who contribute a lot. I mean, come on. Ken Griffin left Chicago to go to Florida because he said he couldn't take Chicago anymore. He has a second home in New York, and I guess you want to drive him out of that second home. And what message does that send to every successful business individual here? It really is a troubling message, and a message of, you know what, we're going to tax you, and too bad. It's ignorant. It's stupid. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222, and you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Let's go to Sal in New Jersey on line 2. Sal, your thoughts tonight, my friend.
Good evening, Rita. Rita, concerning the war with Iran, I think that President Trump ought to just stop with the delays and the negotiations. He ought to go all in, because that's how we lost in Vietnam. We had delays, we had negotiations, we had delays, we had ceasefires, and we ended up losing. Let's go all the way and just finish the job and win the war.
Well, you know, Sal, I actually agree with you. I feel like, look, at a certain point, you got to say they're not being honest brokers. It's clear they're not being honest brokers. But if you could bring even the devil to the table, you take it. And so I do applaud him doing it. But it's interesting because I keep bringing up the fact that he has these 3 aircraft carriers, and it's the largest amount of aircraft carriers. There's 3 right now. I mean, that's a lot of people. It's 200 aircraft. It's 1,500 sailors and Marines. That's a lot. And that's just on the aircraft carriers. That's not even attached to all these other small ships and others that are in the area, all the planes. There's a lot of stuff. There's so many assets in the theater, military assets. And I say all of that, Sal, that I think at the same time that he is talking about peace and saying, hey, we're going to talk to you, you know he's gearing up at the same time, because who knows, maybe even tomorrow. I mean, look, the Iranians keep saying maybe they won't even meet with the Americans, that they might just meet with the Pakistanis. And if they don't even meet with the Americans, or they come up with something completely ridiculous, you know, President Trump is known to say, yeah, and then strike. You know, so this could be a little bit of a decoy. It could be, hey, look over here, a deep fake. We're going to pretend like we're talking to you, but we know your real game. Or maybe he says, okay, I'll try one more time. The Pakistanis are saying, hey, come. So if the Pakistanis, who he believes are honest brokers in this for now, even though they're obviously playing all sides there, I give him credit for at least trying. But you're right, at a certain point, you just have to say, all right, that's it. And we're squeezing them. The other thing, too, Sal, that I find so interesting is this time frame, because it looks like a lot of people are saying that maybe within a week or two, that Iran will really be squeezed because they can't put their oil anywhere. It's overflowing right now because they can't move it out. And they can't pay any of their workers, essentially, the IRGC or the police. And at a certain point, all of that is just going to explode, you know, and come crumbling down. And a lot of people believe that moment may be in a week, maybe 2, maybe a little bit more, but not much more. So if that's the case, Sal, maybe you wait for that moment. What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. And Rita, I believe everything you just said about how we have to deal with Iran. The only thing is that whatever we do, we should not cede our military prowess and our decisions to the UN or any globalist organizations. Let it up. We have to do it ourselves.
Yeah, I agree. We're the best. We know what we're doing. And by the way, I would never at this point, to your point, Sal, I would never have the UN have a say. And sadly, NATO. I mean, NATO has been, seen as feckless, at least a lot of the members there. Not all of them. I'm proud my Poles have been delivering. The Polish people have been great. I think the Greeks have been great. There's a number that have been great. Portugal, I think, too. But UK, Italy, France, UK, that guy is Neville Chamberlain plus. And that's a really sad testament at this point where there are some very tough decisions going on in the world. I mean, I have a lot of faith in President Trump. And I wonder what might even happen in the next 24 hours. Tomorrow is the White House Correspondents Dinner I mentioned to you guys. And remember, during the dinner he had with the Prime Minister, President Xi of China, I believe it was, when he was down in Mar-a-Lago. And he's like, oh, excuse me, could you pass the dessert? Oh, by the way, I just did this. I just did this strike. So you could see maybe even, hey, when he gets up to the White House Correspondents Dinner, he says, before I tell my jokes, let's talk about something serious. Let's talk about what I just did a couple minutes ago, the X strikes that I just did on Iran. I could see him doing that too. He is a master in communications and also clearly has the number of Iran. And the number is delay, 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 lie, lie, lie. We're going to continue with your calls after the break, everybody. You're listening to The Rita Cosby Show, and the number is 1-800-848-9222.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
At Planet Fitness, we've got everything you need to get stronger with best-in-class equipment and free fitness training, so you can give everything you've got. Join today starting at just $15 a month. Planet Fitness, we're all strong on this planet. See Club for details.
When you can't make it to your kid's game, you don't have to miss it. With Game Changer, it feels like you're there watching your kid's game live in crisp HD, following every play in real time. And replaying the moments you'll talk about later with automatic highlight reels. So even when you can't be at the game, your kid still knows you're on the sidelines cheering them on for every big moment. And Game Changer is always free to download. Live the game like never before with Game Changer.
With Uber's new women preferences, women riders can request a woman driver whenever they want. Like Amy, who's traveling solo in a city she's never been to before. Or Danielle, who works night shifts at the hospital. Or Kelly and Jana, who were way overdue for a night out. Because sometimes comfort comes from having another woman with you. Request women drivers with women preferences on Uber. Learn more on the Uber app.
Hey, I like your new RAV4.
Thanks, yours too.
What does RAV stand for anyway?
To me, it's the Remarkably Advanced Vehicle.
Really? To me, it's the Runway Approved Vehicle for its amazing style.
What about Remarkably Adaptable Vehicle because of its versatile cargo space?
Or Really Admired Vehicle?
Oh, or Really Awesome Vehicle.
It really is the recreational activity vehicle. The stylish 2026 Toyota RAV4 Limited. What's your RAV4?
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And President Trump getting ready tomorrow night to really sock it to the media at the White House Correspondents Dinner. Also, he may sock it to Iran. Who knows? 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222 is the number to call. Is it time for President Trump to say, time to get tough, enough talk? Many people think that the clock is ticking and that Iran is clearly just trying to buy time. Also, there was a report today that talked about the Iranian leadership, how fractured it is. It's all over the place. And also the fact that the Iranian leader, there's a story that maybe he's severely burned, has plastic surgery. So who knows where that's going, and apparently might need a prosthetic leg. Sounds like the leadership's on its last leg in more ways than one. We're going to continue after the break.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Adobe Acrobat, your team's home base. Collaborate within a shared PDF space. You've got your docs, your plans, your specs, and then invite the crew to build what's next. They talk up the teamwork. Use an updated render. They think that this design could be a contender. And when somebody wonders what's the next step, AI helps you finish the rest. Bolts are tight, now your plan's refined. Run a smoother business when you're all aligned. Do that with Acrobat. Learn more at adobe.com/do-that-with-Acrobat.
Start your day with Quaker Protein Instant Oatmeal. The Instant Oatmeal ready to help you tackle whatever your day brings. Like wrangling your toddler into their car seat. That was fun. Coaching your 6th graders soccer team. Go girls! And carrying all the groceries in one trip. Whew. Try Quaker Protein Instant Oatmeal, granola, and bars. Great taste and a good source of protein. Quaker, bring out the good.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love with no artificial sweeteners and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
This episode is brought to you by MGM Plus. From and its Horrors returns for season 4, centered around a town that traps all those who enter. Terrifying creatures that come out at night. Horrors some wished had stayed buried, where desperate hope leads to darker truths. Dangerous new arrivals, a sinister figure, a shocking revelation. New episodes of From, Sundays on MGM Plus. Some doors should remain closed.
Rita Cosby is on. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment, everybody, coming from Hackensack, New Jersey, where an off-duty officer attending a hockey game jumped into action when one of the goalies collapsed and went into cardiac arrest. Police officer Frank Stefano is proof that being a cop is around the clock. Officers, of course, always get different trainings, and he's had to spring into action a lot of times while on the job, but never off duty until a hockey game last night. He plays in a hockey league at the Ice House in Hackensack, and during warm-ups, the opposing team's goalie suddenly collapsed after feeling dizzy and nauseous. All saw that the goalie appeared to be conscious and also alert, but soon afterwards, team members said they noticed that he wasn't breathing and suddenly went into cardiac arrest. And that's when the officer's training stepped in. He immediately knew what to do. He jumped in, he grabbed the AED, the automatic defibrillator, and he shocked him once. Then he had to shock him again. Finally, the guy started blinking and he started asking him, "What's your name? What's your name?" He was able, with some trouble, but he was able to tell me what his name was. Thankfully, the goalie is recovering in the hospital, and indeed, very lucky that Officer Stefano was right there and saved his life. Of course, we love our men and women in blue here on The Rita Cosby Show. Well, President Trump has said, "Don't rush me. Don't rush me. I'm going to do this right. It is too important for history. We have to make sure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon." And that's why when I hear all these Democrats out there saying, "Oh, this is terrible planning on his part. How could he do this? How could he go after this nice, sweet regime of Iran?" What do they want them? They want a nuclear Iran? Is that what they want? They want a terrorist regime to have a nuclear weapon? Just think about how dangerous that is for the world. But no, they'd rather trash Trump. But here is President Trump saying to the media yesterday, because the media was so crazy yesterday. They're in the White House, and every question was like, how much longer is it going to take? What are you going to do? What are you going to do tomorrow? Are you going to let it go a couple other days? And President Trump said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Take a listen.
How long are you willing to wait until you get a unified response?
Don't rush me, Jeff. Guys like you want to say, oh, so we were in Vietnam like for 18 years. We were in Iraq for many, many years. We're in for all the, I don't like to say World War II because that was a biggie, but we were 4.5, almost 5 years in World War II. We were in the Korean War for 7 years. I've been doing this for 6 weeks. And their military is totally defeated. They're outside of the little wise guy ships. I call them the wise guy ships, the little boats that they have running around with guns in them. And we'll take them out too when we see them. But their Navy is gone, their Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft is gone, all of their anti-aircraft machinery is gone. Maybe they loaded up a little bit during the 2-week hiatus, but we'll knock that out in about 1 day if they did. We've done an amazing job. Their leaders are gone. Their leaders are all gone.
Yeah, their leaders are gone. And by the way, you heard him scolding the press. Tomorrow night is going to be like a potpourri for him, like a buffet for him. And here's a little bit more of him scolding another member of the press in that same briefing yesterday.
What do you say to the American people who question how much longer this will take? Obviously, you know that they are having
You're such a disgrace. Did you hear what I just said? Vietnam. How many years was Vietnam?
I understand, sir. But
how many years was Vietnam?
Well,
I did my. I took the country out militarily in the first 4 weeks. I took it out militarily. Now all we're doing is sitting back and seeing what deal. And if they don't want to make a deal, then I'll finish it up militarily with the other 25% of the target.
You are such a disgrace. Can you imagine him tomorrow with the microphone? Especially if before him, they really go after him. So if they really go after him and then it goes Trump's turn, it's going to be like, okay, here's payback. You asked for it. This is like a fantasy to have a whole room for him of like 1,000 or 2,000 members of the media. I'd say 95% of them against him, maybe even higher. Maybe it's 99%. And he can kind of look them in the eye. He's the one with the microphone. Also, there are reports that there might be some protest taking place. Sam Donaldson and Dan Rather and others have signed on to a letter of 250 other people signing on a journalist letter telling members of the White House Correspondents Association that people in the room should do some sort of act of defiance. So what are they going to do? Wear pins? Or are they going to walk out? Or are they going to say something? Or I don't know. This could be a real wild one. I mean, I can't wait. I usually go to a lot of these. I'm not going tomorrow, but I will be tuning in. That is for sure. And we'll definitely talk about it on Monday. And here is Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, talking about this moment in history for Iran. And also, if they don't come to the table, they're just going to be blown, I sense, to smithereens, I would say. That's a good way to say it.
President Trump said it again yesterday. We have all the time in the world, and we're not anxious for a deal. And I hear him say it every day in private as well. Iran knows that they still have an open window to choose wisely. As we said previously, choose wisely at the negotiating table. All they have to do is abandon a nuclear weapon in meaningful and verifiable ways, or instead they can watch their regime's fragile economic state collapse under the unrelenting pressure of American power. A blockade as long as it takes, whatever President Trump decides. Because the bottom line remains the bottom line. Iran will never get a nuclear bomb. The choice is theirs, but with this blockade, the clock is not on their side. Moreover, President Trump has authorized the United States Navy to destroy any Iranian fast boats that attempt to put mines in the water or disrupt passage through the Strait of Hormuz, to shoot and kill. Our commanders have clear rules of engagement. If Iran is putting mines in the water or otherwise threatening American commercial shipping or American forces, we will shoot to destroy. No hesitation, just like the drug boats in the Caribbean. It's also worth saying, this should not be America's fight alone. We barely use the Strait of Hormuz as a country. Our energy doesn't flow through there, and we have plenty of energy. Just look at the new global Congo line, headed to Texas. A beautiful picture. Europe and Asia have benefited from our protection for decades, but the time for free riding is over. America and the free world deserve allies who are capable, who are loyal and who understand that being an ally is not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. We are not counting on Europe, but they need the Strait of Hormuz much more than we do, and might want to start doing less talking and having less fancy conferences in Europe and get in a boat. This is much more their fight than ours. On this core mission, America's will is unshakable, our capabilities unmatched. Our blockade is only growing and going global. And as the president said, we have all the time in the world. Iran has a historic chance to make a serious deal, and the ball is in their court. Either way, the War Department stands ready for what comes next, locked and loaded.
And you know that he means business when you got Pete Hegseth and you have President Trump and he says locked and loaded. I think the Iranians know exactly what that means. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show on a busy Friday night. Let's go to Norm in Brooklyn on line 4. Norm, where's this going?
Where's this going? First of all, Rita, to your previous caller, Sal, we did not lose the war in Vietnam, okay? Last I checked, my Nike sneakers, my Hanes underwear, my T-shirts, there's a lot of things that have been made in Vietnam, okay? American corporations thrive in Vietnam, okay? Which is, last I checked, is sort of a capitalistic country.
Yes, and by the way, it is. Obviously, it certainly was a quagmire. You can definitely say that.
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, 59,000 of our boys died there, and
yes.
That's pretty horrible.
It's absolutely horrible. And boy, true heroes going in and their families, too. Absolutely, Norm.
Completely. So where is this going? Just following what Hegseth said, just following what Trump said, we have to have patience here. This doesn't take. It's been 2 months. Okay, this is we pretty much have knocked them out. It's now going to take. It's going to take some time. Now, what is time? It could take a year. I mean, that's just the realities of this situation. I mean, we still have a presence in Western Europe, okay, after World War II. We still have a presence in South Korea. We still have a presence in Grenada, okay, where we still have, like, airfields and things like that.
Yep.
We still, wherever the U.S. military, whatever conflict we get involved in, we are involved in, these things are not settled overnight. So... I say to those people that want this to be over by tomorrow, it ain't going to happen that way. So that's just the reality of it.
Now, do you think, Norm, that they're pushing for this timetable either because they don't like Trump, they don't like anything he does, or do you think they're naive to what happens in war? Like you just said, 18 years was Vietnam.
Right. Well, what is the average age of these media people? 27?
A lot of them. I mean, but then there's some others, Norm. I mean, I've been in that White House briefing room many times through the years. And I'd say, I mean, they're kind of all over. I would say there's some more younger now because you have podcasters and you have sort of, younger folks. There are a lot of people who've been there a long time too. And sort of this is the way it goes. And, and I think most of it, quite frankly, Norm, I really think it's not like they're putting on an act. I think they genuinely, they love Obama. They love Biden. They were more than happy to essentially say how great and spry Biden was and not question him. And I think some of it was just their blinders. I really do. I think they're philosophically blinded and just hate Trump. And I think they're almost like, the Seth Moultons and sadly the Chris Murphys who are out there saying, it's awesome that ships got through. Oh, it's a great thing. So I think there's some of it is that. Maybe some of it is, like you're saying, the young age that they're just not seasoned enough to understand the context of history. What do you think?
I think that it's a combination of them. A lot of them are young, but a lot of them are leftist influenced because leftism is cool. It's I mean, it is in that's what their professors are teaching them, or in their communication majors, whatever. We're talking about people in the media, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes,
now, Rita?
we're talking about people in the media, and you're right. There are a lot of leftists. A lot of them probably who were out there protesting and probably love Zoran Mamdani.
Right. So that's what you're going to get. You're going to get these young people. They go into communications. They become communications majors because it's cool. That's what cool people do. They think it's exciting and all. And that's it. Now they get to challenge the totalitarian in their mind.
Right, exactly. No, you hit it on the head. That and because Trump is so accessible, Norm, he allows them to do that, and they're not seasoned enough or whatever the case is. That they, and many of them, I mean, you would think from Biden, like if he saw a member of the media, it was like he was allergic to him, remember?
Right.
I mean, because because obviously his team was like, remember when the Easter Bunny was like, come over here, Mr. President, when they started asking questions? The Easter Bunny was protecting Joe Biden because he needed help, and they didn't want to expose it to the media. So, I mean, some of it's that, some of it's this protectionist attitude. The other part is that, they truly think whatever Trump does, just like James Carville and others, is wrong, even if it's freeing the world from tyranny. And that's a sad place to be, Norm.
Carville is a whole other different animal because Carville's evil, in my opinion. I mean, Carville knows the score. Carville's smart enough to know that Trump is not Satan. You know what, Norm? I'm not sure about that. I don't mean they're not smart. He's a very smart man. What I mean is that I think, like a lot of these others, he has sort of swallowed the Trump derangement syndrome. He's got the incurable Trump derangement syndrome disease, and I don't think he knows how to get out of it. I think there was a time, and listen, he's married to Mary Madeline, a Republican strategist. I've known them both for a long time. I remember, covering him during Clinton time. And he was not that crazy then, and surely his wife at home goes, honey, are you off your rocker now? Because it's like he swallowed some Trump derangement pill and he can't get out of it. So I think I do agree with you. He's a very smart man. And yes, he should know better, but he just seems obsessed with bashing Trump. And he's been like full of hate of late. I think he's gone off his rocker. Whatever meds it is, he needs to go back on them because he took too long of a break. Or maybe he took a Trump derangement syndrome pill and he doubled the dose. I'm not sure, but something happened there, Norm. Norm, we're going to continue calls with everybody after the break. Have a great weekend, Norm. 1-800-848-9222. And everybody, you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Boy, is there a lot to talk about on this Friday night.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Unlike other AI, Slackbot lives in Slack. It understands you, your team, and your work, so you can ask it for help with anything.
Can I ask it to summarize client feedback?
Yes.
Can I ask it to find time for a meeting?
Absolutely.
Can I ask it to turn our meeting notes into a launch plan?
Sure.
Can I ask it to call me the boss?
Actually, you can.
The balls.
See how Slackbot can turn you into
the balls
at slack.com/meet-slackbot.
If data management is slowing down your business, you need the Intuit ERP. If one entity is here, and one here, and one here, and one here, you need the Intuit ERP. If scaling your business feels like starting over, you need the Intuit ERP. Intuit Enterprise Suite is the AI-native ERP solution that consolidates, migrates, and automates, all in one place. Learn more at intuit.com/ERP.
From hidden Mediterranean gems to the wilderness of Antarctica, Silversea invites you to explore the world in greater depth. Venture to over 900 destinations across all 7 continents. on board small ships that set the standard for elite ocean travel. Every journey opens doors to extraordinary discoveries. And wherever you sail, you can expect the same Silversea promise: unrivaled service, unmatched comfort, and unforgettable memories. Visit silversea.com to learn more.
Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Systane Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Systane Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.
This is the Rita Cosby Show.
So what's going to happen in a matter of hours? Could history change forever? Could there be a peace deal? It looks like Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are going to go to Pakistan and meet with Iranian officials. The Iranian foreign minister, Araghchi, he is apparently meeting with Pakistanis, and then he says he's going to go, what a surprise, to Russia. And also he's going to Oman. So could a deal be struck? And this would be extraordinary if it is. And yet, it seems like so many on the Democratic side in America and much of the media are hoping for defeat, not just for Trump, but I contend for America. And that's a really dangerous place to be. How sad is that? We should all be rooting for enormous success for this president on what I contend is a righteous mission. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Reggie in Texas on line 4. Reggie, your thoughts tonight?
That's great. You made some great points there, Miss Rita, and I'm just going to embellish them a little bit. This is the first president, to my recollection, I'm 68, who's fighting three enemies. And I use the word enemy. He's got the foreign enemy, he's got the half of Congress, and he's got the media. And he's doing remarkably well. And to his credit, I don't think they understand. Sometimes I wonder about Trump because he talks too much and he tweets. But I think in this case, the plan he's currently using is brilliant. Every time he makes a comment about their wanting to negotiate, the Iranians, it creates more friction and more issues in Iran with their own leadership. So they don't know what to do. The perfect thing to do for them would be to attack right now, because that would codify them. They would all have a common enemy. But right now, they're all looking at each other, wondering who's the guy who's negotiating, who's the person secretly dealing with them. So in essence, every time he does this, and you couple that with the $430 million a day that's been reported that they're losing in income from the blockade, and this is actually pretty brilliant. It's a pretty smart idea. They can't handle that because, Ms. Rita, they've talked about if they win Congress back, the House, the first thing they're going to do is impeach Trump.
Yes, and by the way, I want to tell everybody about that story. It's in Axios, and they're saying on day one, the very first day, they will impeach Trump if they get the House of Representatives in the midterm. I mean, these people they'll find a reason. Oh, it's raining today. Let's impeach Trump. Oh, it's too sunny today. We're going to impeach Trump. I mean, it is so crazy and it's so dangerous. And I like your point, Reggie, what you just talked about. I call it a squeeze play because he's trying to squeeze them economically. He's physically squeezing them in, and he's also not allowing them to export and make any money. There are reports that they're losing. It's like $13 billion a month, as you just talked about, like $435 to $450 a day. They may crumble from within.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?